All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Sapphire Boone, and I'm so glad for you to be here tonight for our classes. I wanted to just give you a little bit of a plug. So tonight's class is free, and then we also have a free class on June the 10th. It's a shorter class, just an hour, just to give you kind of a little taste. Um, and then to also introduce my bundle that I'm offering right now. So you'll see that next week on May 20th, we have theories and ethics. June 3rd is direct practice. June 17th is macro practice. And then June 24th is practice questions. So we're going to be meeting on Tuesdays from 7 to 9:30. And then for 127, you get all four classes plus access to my replay bundle. And let me also show you that as well, so you can kind of see what is included. I did put the PowerPoint in the chat, so go ahead and download that so that you have it. Let me put it in there one more time. This recording will be posted on YouTube, and that's how you can also view it after we're finished. So what I basically did with my online course is I basically took some recent study group recordings and put them on there and kind of divided them up to make it more digestible. So let me show you what I have on here. Okay, preview. All right. So what I have is called Kajabi, just because that's the platform that I use to create the course. But it is an online course. So some people are better in live, like how we're doing right now, just because it helps you to settle down, focus, and be able to really get the information. And then some people like the online kind of self-pace. And so this is updated. So what I do is whenever somebody asks me a question, or they're like, hey, Dr. Boone, can you you know give me an example of this, or what about this? Sometimes I'll create a lesson about that. One of the things that was recently that someone asked me about, which I can show you, is understanding the key differences between the 5 and the 5TR. So that was one of kind of the questions that I got. So I created a lesson on it. It just gives you like just a short little lesson about what's going on. So you'll see that sometimes I'll have resources like YouTube's, but the majority of them, so if you go to defense mechanisms, but if you go to like depression and bipolar disorders, it's an actual video. Okay. It's an actual video that you'll be able to view. And then where you see downloads, it'll show you like the slides or whatever handouts go with it. So I've really tried to break it up as much as possible so that you can get content kind of in smaller doses. Typically a full class lasts 2.5 hours. So I try not to put the whole 2.5 hours on here because that is a lot of time. But you'll see that I have ethics, human behavior, diversity, assessment and intervention with clients and client systems, macro, and then you'll see full practice exam. So the other thing is that my material is mainly geared towards the master's level. But what you'll find is that a lot of times when you look at the study material, sometimes it'll be separate and then sometimes it'll be together. Someone just asked on Facebook, like, I bought this master's level, how different is the clinical level? And the person was like, not really that much difference, right? Because a lot of the content is the same. It's more about what types of questions they're asking about that content, and then also what you do with the information. So we can go over kind of what the differences are between the master's level and the clinical level. And then if you're taking like the bachelor's level or the associate level, this would also be fine for that too. Again, material is similar, just the focus of the exam is going to be a little bit different. And so I do have full practice exams. So the 170 practice exam on here is, like I said, geared towards the master's level, but I do have clinical 75 questions of clinical exam prep questions as well. I did an exam prep with Dr. Phillips back in March, and we developed some questions together. And so they're going to be a little bit different. And so you do have that as well. But again, what you'll find is that for the clinical exam, the differences are going to be more focused on clinical interventions, like what do you do now that you know this information, what do you do with the information? And then also it's going to be some differential diagnosis. The exam is not majority diagnosis, which I think is kind of a little misleading because you're thinking it's a clinical exam, therefore it's going to be all disorders and medication, but it's actually similar to the master's in terms of how many medication questions you get and how many disorder, like diagnosis questions you get, more focused on you had this scenario, now what do you do about it? What's the presenting problem and how do you solve that presenting problem? So I would say that because I know that there are some clinical test takers, and I know that sometimes when you're taking the clinical exam, you want to have materials specifically that's focused on it. My goal is to have material like modules that are for the clinical exam. I'm just not there yet because I want to be able to develop them with someone who is a little bit more clinical than me. I don't do therapy. I'm more of an administrator. I work in the university setting. So I know how to teach it, but I don't know how to do it. And I know that sometimes when you're studying, you want to know, like, well, how do we do this in real life? And so I can't answer no of those questions. So I like to team up with other other clinicians in the practice so that we can kind of collaborate and work on that. So hopefully I'll have modules in the near future, but right now I do not. But what I can help you with is breaking down the question, and that's what we're going to be focusing on tonight. Let me just check the chat and just see kind of what you all put in terms of what you're studying for and kind of if you have any questions, please put them in the chat as well. Yeah, it's definitely a mix of the LMSW and the LCSW. Oh, from Rhode Island. Hey. Hey, Baltimore. Okay, so yeah, severe test anxiety about trying again. Yeah, absolutely. DC, all right. What is a good book? Yep, we're gonna go over that. Connecticut, hey. Okay, so I wanted to just go over some exam basics. I didn't put the clinical content outline here, but it's going to be at aswb.org. So ASWB creates the test. So anytime you're trying to figure out what to study or what's on there, you're going to go to ASWB. And I'm in Maryland. And so whoever your state board, social work board, sometimes it's under the Department of Health, sometimes it's classified in like underneath a different kind of state agency, but whatever social work board is in your state is what you're going to follow. More things about the exam is that there are 170 multiple choice questions. Does anybody know what the new change is that just happened in April? Yeah, 85 at a time. Yes, less multiple choice. Yes, both are true. Okay, so the new change that happened recently, so they had Pearson VUE forever, and then they switched to PSI. I heard like some bad things about it from people that took the exam during the PSI time, and so they've decided to go back to Pearson VUE. And when they went back to Pearson VUE, they have changed the format a little bit in terms of how it is delivered. So before it was 170 questions in 4 hours was the standard without an accommodation. Now they have broken it up with 85 and 85 with a 10-minute mandatory break. But from my understanding, that 10 minutes is not subtracted from the overall time. So that part is good. The part that is freaking people out a little bit is that once you're done with the first 85, you have to submit it. And then once you hit submit, you can't go back and review it. And then you move on to the second 85. Yeah, I don't like it that you can't go back, but you can still go back while you have it open, like before you submit it. So that's just what I would suggest is that well, let me go back. So it depends on what type of person you are. Okay. It depends on what type of person you are and how you test take, right? And so if you um can review the questions without changing your answer, then you're still able to answer the 85 and then go back and look at them again. Like when I took my exam, I went through all of them and I looked at all of them because I'm just a little, it just gave me peace of mind. But if you know you're going to change the answer, then you might not even want to go back through and check your answers. So it's up to you. I see the comment, not if the time runs out. And that's something that you should definitely know before you go in there. Like, you should definitely understand your relationship with timing with this exam before you go and take the exam. So you should know, can you do 85 questions in 2 hours? I think I took the whole test in like 2.5 hours, so it just depends on the person and how much time you typically take on questions, I would say. Like I had time to freak out, I had time to take breaks, I had time because that's just what kind of test taker I am in terms of the timing. So you definitely want to make sure that you are practicing. Hold on. Let me go back. Oh, here it is. You definitely want to make sure that you're practicing sorry, I'm just trying to make sure. Here we go. Okay. So you definitely want to make sure that you are practicing your timing. Let's see. But it always has less multiple choice. Some of the questions are 3 instead of 4. Yes. So that's the other change that has been in existence for a while now, right? They have been introducing just ABC, right? Just 3 answer options instead of 4. I recently asked one of my students that passed back in, I think, March, and they said it was a good mixture. Okay, so you're gonna see 4 answer options and 3 answer options. They keep saying that they're gonna completely